Yes, sir.
And how is it you're able to recognize that?
It is sealed with evidence tape with my initials. It's my handwriting, and it's collected from Mr. Hembry's autopsy.
Okay. And again, were you present physically present at Mr. Hembry's autopsy, watching the autopsy when that item was recovered?
Yes, sir.
And did you see where it was recovered from?
Yes, sir.
And where was it recovered from?
Mr. Hembry's upper chest area.
And is that after the doctor had cut Mr. Hembry open so he could get inside of him?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd ask you to look at the packaging itself and see if it appears that anyone else had gone into the package.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you obtained that item, did you obtain it in a similar fashion as you did plastics that we just talked about, which was the fragment recovered from the T-shirt?
Yes, sir.
And was the item packaged? In other words, was the item that was recovered from Mr. Hembry's body, was that packaged there at the medical center?
Yes, sir.
How was it packaged?
Inside of a box.
And did you later put that box inside of that paper bag that we're looking at imported?
Yes, sir.
Now, could you open up the package that you have to satisfy yourself that the item that you placed in there is the item that is still in it? First, whether or not there's the same box, and then whether or not there's the same item in the box.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you recognize the box as something that you recovered from the autopsy that you attended.
Yes, sir.
Can you look inside the box and see if that appears to be the item that you saw recovered from Mr. Hembry's person?
Yes, sir.
Offer State's Exhibit DH.
You may.
First question is, are there any markings on the item that's inside the box that help you identify it?
No, sir.
Anything to distinguish it from any other fragment? Anything
On the
distinctive
item?
about it that you can recognize on the item itself?
No,
Is there
sir.
anything distinctive about the fragment itself that allows you to distinguish it from any of the other, what you've described as fragments in this case or others?
No, sir.
Okay. So you can't actually identify the item inside the box as being anything but similar to what you placed in the box. Is that correct?
It was placed in the box by an employee of the medical examiner.
And the box was handed to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you didn't even see it before it was placed in the box?
Yes, I saw it as it was being removed
You saw it as it was being
during the
removed?
autopsy. Yes, sir.
Now, this is Dr. Potosky again who's removing it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you saw something being removed and placed in a box, and the box was handed to you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you identify with any particularity the item inside the box as being the same thing that you saw being removed?
It would be in photographs.
Well, we haven't got a photograph. We have you. So I repeat my question. Can you identify whatever is in this box with any particularity as being what you say was removed?
No, sir.
Again, I object.
May I have the attorney's approach, please? All right, that'll be introduced as 119.
When you saw 119 removed from Mr. Henry's body, did you recognize it based on your experience?
Yes, sir.
What did you recognize?
A projectile.
Now I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit DV. Identification. D is in David, V is in Victor. I want to show you that exhibit and see if you're able to recognize the packaging of that exhibit as something that you collected.
Yes, sir.
How's it you're able to do that?
It is my handwriting. It is sealed with my initials, and it is the date and location are on it.
Okay. And where was this item recovered?
It was recovered from the neck of Gary Hembry.
Were you present when that happened?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the item recovered from Mr. Embry's person?
Yes, sir.
Did you see it placed into a package?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that package handed to you?
Yes, sir.
All those things happened in your presence.
Yes, sir.
After you obtained that package from the medical examiner, what did you do with it?
I would have placed it in this and sealed it and labeled the bag.
Okay. And you labeled it based on where you personally observed the item come from, did you not?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear that bag has been entered into by anyone since you sealed it?
Yes, sir.
Who does it appear it's been entered into by?
FDLE.
Can you look in the package and see if the item placed in there is today? That would include the box and the items inside the box.
Yes, sir.
Does that appear to be the same item that you saw removed from the net area of Area 3?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Offer states exhibit B is a picture.
You may.
And Mr. Resmus asked you whether or not the bag had been entered into, the box that you just opened, it had been entered into since you last saw it?
There appear to be 2 layers of tape. I'm not sure if it was not entered again by myself. I don't know if that was,
What can you tell from whether or not the condition of the box indicates that someone else entered into it since you last saw it?
it appears so, yes.
Okay. And likewise, the item that you looked in there that you testified appeared to be similar to what you saw Dr. Paczewski remove from Mr. Hembry. Is there any markings on that item itself that would help you distinguish it?
No markings, no, sir.
Okay. Anything distinctive about that would allow you to separate it from any other, what you believe to be a projectile that you've seen throughout your career?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Anything distinctive about this, what you believe to be a projectile?
Just the shape and what it appears to be made of, it appears to look similar to projectiles that I've seen.
Okay, but you've seen in this case and other cases, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can't distinguish this particular item from projectiles you've seen in other cases totally unrelated to this, right?
Correct.
Can't say even with any degree of certainty that this is the same item that was removed from Mr. Hembry's body, can you?
Correct.
Again, I object.
We'd offer it.
Yeah, have the attorney's approach, please. All right, that'll be number 120 in evidence.
I don't have any other questions.
Cross-examination? You may.
You recognize that particular exhibit?
Yes, sir.
Is that another diagram that was done
Yes, sir.
on the department?
Yes, sir.
You participated in that particular thing.
Yes, sir.
Who actually created that diagram?
I did.
You did. This is your personal one.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to the other one that was a compilation of other people's.
Yes, sir.
The attorneys may approach. And then that will be 121 in evidence. Not sure, I can try.
I want to also show you items that have been marked as dependents C, D. You recognize those?
Yes, sir.
How do you recognize those?
They were on the scene.
And from those exhibits, can you tell me in terms of proximity to the Y previously identified as was staying on the grassy area, how close were those items to that?
I can give an approximate location. I would say approximately a few feet based on this picture.
Okay.
we'll try to work on the lights here. Let's see. None of my light control. None of mine relate to these lights, so I don't know if there's any on the wall. Okay, let's try it. Is that any better?
Maybe we'll find out another.
Okay.
Judge, statements agreed to states.
Okay, so we'll mark those as state exhibits, and then they will be introduced in evidence as the next sequence of numbers. C, B, and E, that's what I had. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, C, D, and E, and then those will be 122, 123, 124.
Yeah, this is the diagram that you did, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Just for the record, it's now stage 121. Particularly interested in what was identified on this as stain W and stain 1. You swapped both of those, is that correct?
I did not, no, sir.
There's an indication, who swapped them?
CST Hill, I believe.
I'm sorry?
I believe it was CST Hill, Caitlin Hill,
Caitlin?
I believe.
Okay. And would you agree that those blood stains are associated with the deceased Roger Ford?
I don't know where any of the bodies were, except for the one that was present at the scene when I arrived.
Okay. And the one that was on the scene when you arrived was Mr. Henry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so likewise, you would not be able to confirm or deny that stain Z is associated with Mr. Clay?
I cannot confirm that, no, sir.
Now, one of the things I did want to mention, you have of it, this diagram is not to scale, is that correct?
Correct.
And likewise, what you noted on this diagram of stain, and also true of the other diagram, is not intended to represent the size of the stain, or the scope of the stain, is that correct?
Correct, it's not to scale. Correct.
Looking at state 96, this is the same we're talking about in terms of W, correct?
I can't see it from here because of the lighting. I'm sorry.
You may.
Yes, sir, I believe so.
So it's located just right by the sidewalk.
Mr. Eisenmaker.
It's upside down.
Yeah, that's enough for me, too helpful for the jury. It's associated right where the sidewalk area meets the driveway, is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
The washout of that. Judge, I'm actually going to ask you. No objection.
Okay, without objection, let's publish that. Thank you, Anthony.
Now, U and V here represent fragments that you recovered at the scene. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Now, on your description that you wrote on the bag of those indicated ground. Is that correct? They were recovered from the ground.
Okay, yes, sir.
They actually were recovered from the concrete carport section, not as opposed to dirt.
Correct.
I just wanted to clarify that, because in some of these areas, we have, for example, one blood stain that's in a dirt area.
Yes, sir.
These particular fragments were recovered on concrete.
Yes, sir.
Now, I wanted to ask you about MD11. That was a fragment that was recovered on the driveway in front of the vehicle after the vehicle had been moved. Is that correct?
I believe it was still behind the vehicle.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. See if you can help me with that. This is the location of that fragment, 11, MD11. MD stands for your initial, item 11, correct?
Yes, sir.
It appears that it's on the carport area that would be not in the area where the car was parked when you first saw it. Is that fair?
The first time that I arrived? Or the second time that I arrived?
First or second time?
The car was moved the second time that I
I
arrived.
know the car was moved, but we're talking about where the fragment was recovered. The car was moved, it was further up in the carport. The second time you arrived, the car was down here, right?
I believe it was still in the carport. I believe a portion of the vehicle was still inside of the carport.
I understand.
Yes, sir.
You moved toward the street.
Yes, sir.
That's the point.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I'm trying to understand, fragment 11 is on the portion of the driveway that was discovered a day or so later, on the portion of the driveway closest to the street, right?
It was discovered on the driveway, yes, sir, that same day, just later in the day.
Okay. It was found on the third. Well, again, and maybe I'm just confused. I thought your testimony was that you recovered these fragments, other fragments. You had left the scene,
Yes, sir.
and then you returned to the scene.
Yes, sir.
The scene had been changed. Somebody had done something, but certainly, even if it was just as simple as moving that car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It also appears that some other items that were in some of the earlier photographs of the movement, bicycles and wrench and all of that stuff, no longer is visible on the photograph. But there is fragment number 11 in an area where arguably you had looked at it earlier in the evening. Looked in that area.
Correct.
Dismissed it, or had it been placed there since your arrival, or do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. But you would agree that, at least in terms of fragment 11, this is something that was found after the scene had been altered.
Yes, sir.
And again, just so we're clear about this is not still a little washed out, but what we're talking about is right here. That's where fragment 11 is.
Yes, sir.
I believe you had testified that the significance of this particular photograph was with bullet holes here
Yes, sir.
Did you ever recover projectiles from the interior of that vehicle?
I did not know, sir.
To your knowledge, did any?
I do not recall if any were collected from the vehicle. I did not collect any.
See if this would. Check unless it's your personal knowledge. I'm going to ask you in terms of this diagram. This diagram calls for that.
What is the next question? We don't have a question yet.
All right, I want to show you page 97. This diagram. The way this diagram is broken down, it has projectiles, the location projectiles are found in gray. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it has shell casings, and the location of where shell casings were found in brown.
Yes, sir.
Are there, based on this diagram, are there any fragments inside the vehicle?
No, sir.
Just out of curiosity, can you date when these alleged bullet holes actually went into the vehicle?
No, sir.
But at least from the entry position, it would appear that there would either would have to be an exit hole somewhere in the car, or the fragment should be in the car, correct?
It would appear.
Don't have any further questions to this witness at this time. I would ask that she be kept subject to recall.
Okay, any redirect? Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. You may be excused, but you are subject to recall. Thank you.
Okay.
State's next witness. Good afternoon, ma'am. If you'd step to the podium and please raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please have a seat over here on the witness stand. If you would please state your full name.
Caitlin Rosehill.
Can you spell your first and last names?
Caitlin is Caitlyn. Hill is Hill.
Thank you. State may proceed when you're ready.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
How are you employed?
I am a crime scene technician with the Titusville Police Department.
And how long have you been doing that?
Currently about 5.5 years.
And when did you start?
May of 2012.
And do you have any training that enables you to do the job that you do?
I have an associate's degree in criminal justice, bachelor's in criminal investigation, and a master's in forensic science.
Okay. And did you undergo any training when you joined the Titusville Police Department?
Yes.
And your duties on September 3rd of 2012 were what?
I arrived on scene in the capacity of a crime scene technician.
And as a crime scene technician, what would your duties entail?
Yes, that entailed photographing the scene, observing for evidence, collecting evidence.
And on that particular date, September 3rd, 2012, around what time did you respond?
We arrived on scene approximately 1:47.
Okay, and when you say on scene, where is that exactly?
The area of 1960, 1950, and 1940 Smith Drive.
Okay. And we as who?
Myself, my manager, crime scene evidence manager, Amanda Wright, and crime scene technician, Melissa Dodge.
And when you got there, were duties assigned amongst the three of you?
Yes.
And what were you tasked with doing?
I was tasked with photography mostly, collecting items, and just overall observation.
And, okay, very good. If I could approach the witness, Judge.
You may.
When you first arrived on scene, what was the first thing that you did?
I did overall observation of the scene before we started processing or photography.
And what does that entail?
Just taking a look at the scene, walking around with the officers on scene, and taking a look at what we have.
Okay. That involves, I guess, scope of the scene and then potentially items of evidentiary value that you would then collect?
Yes.
Okay. Did all three of you do that?
Yes.
And when you did that, was the scene secure?
Yes, it was.
Do you know at what point in time the scene became secure?
I do not.
But it was secure when you arrived?
Yes.
I'm going to turn your attention. I placed some items in front of you, and specifically, start with EJ. Ask if you recognize, or if you were involved in the collection of EJ.
Yes.
And show you what's marked as number 8 in evidence. You recognize the scene that's depicted in 8?
Yes.
What are we looking at in the scene that's depicted in 8?
This is the roadway of Smith Drive, directly in front of 1960.
Okay. And were there any items of evidence in particular that you would have collected from this area?
Yes, there were a total of 5 things that I collected.
I'm going to
that
show you the evidence as 9. 9.
Yes.
Sorry, and what are we looking at in 9?
That's, again, the area that these items, that the items were collected from in front of 1960 Smith Drive. Yes, that is a close-up of the items.
And there's a laser pointer in front of you there. The photo markers that are there, A, B, C, and D, do they have any significance?
Yes, we use these on scene in order to designate which items are where on the scene. Makes it a lot easier when you're photographing.
Okay. So you find the items, you mark the items, you photograph the items, and then you collect them.
Yes.
So these particular items that are depicted in this photograph, that's the way that you found them when you arrived on scene.
Yes.
When you arrived on scene, was there any other law enforcement personnel that was in the presence of these items?
There was. I don't remember who.
Okay. But someone was with them when you arrived?
Yes.
Starting with EJ. Do you recognize the packaging of EJ?
Yes.
And what is it about that package that you recognize?
This is the packaging that I personally put the item in. It does have our department-issued case number, the date, my ID number, and the item number.
And it appears to be sealed in a couple different places. Do you recognize the seals?
Yes, that one is mine as well as the bottom one.
So both the seals contained on that are yours?
Yes.
When we say the seals, we're talking about the tape.
Yes, the tape.
I'm going to, with the court's permission, I'd like you, I think there's scissors over there. Are there? Or not? I'd like you to open State's EJ and tell me if what you see is in there is what you placed in there on September 3rd. sorry. Yeah. I don't want you to take it out of the package. I want you to look in it first.
Okay. Yes.
Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
Does it appear to be the same item that you collected on September 3rd, placed in that bag and sealed it?
Yes.
Now, there's the seal on the bottom, you said you put that seal there.
Yes.
So you would have opened that package after you put it in there?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of that?
Photography.
Okay. Back at the police department?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Your Honor, this time I'll move EJ into evidence.
Okay, without objection, that will be number, I'm sorry? 125, thank you.
Yes.
And how is it that you recognize EL?
Is the packaging that I used with the department-issued case number, date, my ID number, and my item number.
And once again, EL has multiple seals on it. Do you recognize the seals that are on that packaging?
2 of them are mine.
Okay, and the third?
It appears to be FDLE's.
Okay, and the 2 that are yours, the one is the original seal, what's the other seal?
The other one was from processing as well.
And that included photography?
Yes.
And any other processing you did?
This one, these were processed for latent prints at the lab, or at the police department.
All right, very good. I'm going to ask that you use those scissors, and with the court's permission, if you could open that, look inside, and tell me if you recognize what's inside there.
Yes.
And what you see in there, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as it was when you placed it in the bag on September 3rd, 2012?
Not the same condition as September 3rd, no.
Okay. What is it that you notice that appears to be different?
Well, after I processed it, it did have cyanoacrylate.
Okay, so when you processed it for fingerprints, it was something different?
Yes.
When you resealed it after you sealed the bottom, does it appear to be in the same condition as it was?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time I'll move EL into evidence. Yeah.
Without objection, that will be number 126.
Yes.
Sorry, are you 125 or 126?
That's 120, is that 126 or 125? 125, I'm sorry.
Okay.
125. You could remove it from the bag, stand up, hold it up for the members of the jury to see, and then I'd like you to identify which item in the photograph we're looking at that belongs to.
Is item B in the photograph on the screen.
Very good. Thank you. And states 126 this time. You could remove that item, show it to the jury, and identify which photo markers they belong to, where they came from.
These are 2 magazines, and they are item C in the photographs.
Thank you. States EM. You recognize states EM.
Yes.
And how is it that you recognize states EM?
It is my packaging with department-issued case number, the date, my item number, and my ID number.
That particular item, does it appear to be open to any other seals on it besides your own?
No.
Okay, could you please open that item with the court's permission and take a look inside and see if it appears to be in the same condition as it was when you collected it?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, this time I'll move states EM into evidence.
Without objection, that'll be 127 in evidence.
States ED, you recognize states ED.
Yes.
And what is it about DD that you recognize, ma'am?
It is my packaging with the department issued case number, date, my ID number, and my item number.
And there appear to be multiple seals on that box. Do you recognize the seals?
Yes, some of them are mine and some of them are from the lab.
And when you collected it on September 3rd, did you seal it up?
Yes,
Did you ever open it again?
I opened it again for processing, yes.
And did you then seal it again?
Yes,
And then it was sent to where?
to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Laboratory in Orlando.
Okay, so that's, when we say FDLE, that's what we're talking about? Their
Yes.
crime lab? Okay. With the court's permission, I believe the seal's been cut, but could you please open that particular exhibit and tell me if you recognize the item that's contained inside?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And the item itself, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as it was the day you found it?
Not the same, but consistent with.
What's not the same about it?
There's writing on it that was not there when I processed it.
There's writing on it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how that writing got there?
I don't know for sure.
You have an idea?
Yes,
It wasn't there when you sent it to FDLE though, right?
correct.
Okay. Serial number on there, do you recognize the serial number?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And is that the serial number that you recognize from the firearm you collected in this particular case,
Yes.
September 3rd? And that you processed?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I'll move DD into evidence.
You may.
Ma'am, you're saying that you did not write on the firearm, but there is now writing on the firearm?
Correct.
May I approach the witness?
You may. Okay, without objection, DD will be number 128.
Stage 127, if you could remove stage 127 from the bag. Show it to the members of the jury and please identify it in the photograph that we're looking at. Stage 12, which photo marker we're looking at there.
This is a pocket knife, and it's item A in the photograph.
Thank you, ma'am. And states 128. And if you could remove stage 128 from the box, hold it up for the members of the jury to see, and please identify the photo marker on states 12, the photograph that's projected.
This is the firearm that is on location D in the photograph.
Thank you, ma'am. As part of your training, could you talk to the members of the jury a little bit about your training as it relates to the development of latent fingerprints?
Throughout my schooling, we did training for fingerprints in the various ways on how to process for fingerprints and lift them. I've attended a few classes since I was employed, or started employment with the Titusville Police Department to keep up with my training for that.
And have you had occasions to, what's a latent fingerprint? Let's go there.
Latent fingerprint is what is left by anyone who touches a surface. It may or may not happen after you touch something. You can't see it to the naked eye. It does require some development in order to be able to see it and lift it.
And have you had an occasion to develop latent fingerprints and collect them?
Yes,
And approximately how many times have you say you've done that?
In my career?
Right.
Oh, gosh, hundreds.
And prior to, so when did you say you started?
May in 2012.
Okay, so then by September of 2012, so approximately how many times in your training and then in your actual work that you had an occasion to do that?
Training and work combined, probably about 200 or 300.
Okay. The items that we were talking about before, which would have been the magazines, which I think were 127. Sorry, 126 and 128. The magazines were 126, and then the firearm was 128. You said you processed those for latent fingerprints.
Yes.
Were you able to develop any?
There were 2 latent prints that I had collected from the magazines.
Okay. And, okay, very good. Then the firearm, any latent prints from the firearm?
No.
Was there any other evidence that you collected in or around the street of 1960 Smith Drive?
No.
Where's the next area that you went to?
1950 Smith Drive.
And I'm going to show defense counsel what's been previously marked as CB, EZ, CE,
I'm sorry, CB,
I'm sorry, CB, EZ as in zebra, CE, CH, CI, CR, CQ, CP, CO, CN, CM, CL, and CK. I believe at this point, council's indicated he has no objection to these, so I don't know if we can just mark them.
okay, without objection then, those will be the next numbered exhibits, 129. I believe through 141, is that correct, Madam Clerk? Okay.
When you arrived at 1950 Smith Drive, can you tell the members of the jury what you did next?
Photographs were taken of the overall area of 1950 Smith Drive, and then items were searched for and observed.
And what exactly did you search or collect when you were at 1950?
At 1950 Smith Drive, I collected several shell casings as well as the personal belongings off of Mr. Hembry.
So I'm showing you states 129. You recognize states 129?
I recognize that as a photo of 1950 Smith Drive.
Okay. And, very good. States 130?
Yes.
What do you recognize 130 as being?
This is the same residence at night while we were on scene.
And the car that's in the carport there, is that car of any significance to you?
Yes.
Okay, what is it that you did with that particular car?
I collected several shell casings out of that vehicle.
showing defense counsel what's previously been marked as EP, EO, EK, EQ, and EN.
Your Honor, we have no objection to these items.
All right, without objection, then, those will be 142 through 146.
Ms. Hill, you, as part of your duties with the Titusville Police Department crime scene, were you responsible for developing or attempting to develop latent prints on other items of evidence?
Yes,
And what other items of evidence would those have been?
the casings from the scene.
And so I'm going to show you a number of exhibits now, and I'm going to ask you if you were involved in opening these packages in any way and then doing anything with them. So if I could approach the witness.
You may.
State 60. Do you recognize State 60?
Yes,
Okay, and how is it that you recognize State 60?
this is the packaging for the item with our department-issued case number and our labels on it.
And do you see any of your labels on there?
Yes,
And where is your label? If you could hold it up, show it to them. That would be great.
my seals are on the bottom.
And when you received that item, or you collected that item, or obtained that item at the Titusville Police Department, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes,
Had it been opened in any way prior to you opening?
no,
And when you opened it, did you process it for latent prints?
yes,
And were you able to get any latent prints?
no,
Showing you State 66, same questions. Did you have an opportunity to observe that particular exhibit?
yes.
And how is it that you know that?
Department-issued case number with our label and my seals on the bottom.
And when you obtained that item at the Titusville Police Department, had any of the seals been broken on?
No,
And was it in a sealed condition? So
Yeah.
you opened it?
yes,
And did you process that particular item?
yes,
And when you processed it, were you able to obtain any latent fingerprints?
no,
Did you seal it back up?
yes,
And your seal, does it appear to still be intact?
yes,
And the seal on 160, does that still appear to be intact?
yes,
161, do you recognize 161?
yes.
And how is it you recognize that?
Department-issued case number and our labeling.
And did you do anything with 161?
Yes,
What did you do?
process for latent prints.
And were you successful?
No,
And the seals on it, when you received that package, was it in a sealed condition?
yes,
Was it tampered with or cut open in any way?
by myself only.
And then after that, you seal it back up?
Yes,
Is your seal still intact?
yes,
59, that last exhibit was 61. 59, you recognize 59?
yes.
How do you recognize it?
Department-issued case number and label.
And did you do anything with that particular exhibit?
Yes, this item was processed for latent prints as well.
Were you successful?
No,
And when you checked that item out of your evidence locker, were the seals all intact?
yes,
Had it been cut in any way other than by yourself?
no,
Did you seal it back up?
yes,
Is your seal still intact?
yes.
And that item is what?
This item itself,
Yeah.
spent casing.
And the other
I'm
exhibits?
sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
It's a spent casing,
Thank you.
The other exhibits we just talked about were what?
also casings.
62?
Yes, I recognize this by the case number and label.
And did you do anything with that exhibit?
This was also processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No,
when you received that item from your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
The only other seal on it was that by Melissa Dodge, or then Melissa Dodge?
Yes.
Was it tampered with in it, that seal tampered with in any way?
No.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you then seal it?
Yes.
Your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And this item is what?
Spent casing.
63? Do you recognize 63?
Yes, by the department issued case number and the label.
Did you do anything with 63?
This was processed for latent prints?
Were you successful?
No.
When you checked that out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes.
And what is that exhibit?
Spent casing.
56? You recognize that?
Yes, by department issued case number and label.
And did you do anything with that exhibit?
It was processed for latent prints?
Were you successful?
No.
And when you checked that out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it?
Yes.
When you were done, you sealed it.
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And what is that exhibit?
Spent casing.
57? You recognize 57?
Yes, by the department issued case number and the label.
And did you do anything with 57?
It was processed for latent prints?
By yourself?
Yes.
Were you successful?
No.
When you checked that item out of the evidence locker, was it in sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Then did you seal it?
Yes.
Is your seal tampered with in any way?
No.
And what is that?
That's spent casing.
58? You recognize 58?
Yes, by the case number and the label.
And did you do anything with 58?
It was also processed for prints?
Were you successful?
No.
Did you, when you checked that out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
And did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it when you were done processing?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And what is that?
Spent casing.
65? You recognize that exhibit?
Yes, by the case number and label.
And did you do anything with that exhibit?
It was processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
When you checked that out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
When you were done processing it, did you close it?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And that is what?
A spent casing.
64 in evidence? You recognize that?
Yes, by the case number and label.
Did you do anything with that exhibit?
It was processed for latent prints?
Were you successful?
No.
And when you received that item out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it when you were done?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And what is that item?
Spent casing.
Each of these items we just talked about, there is another seal on them.
Yes.
Do you recognize what that other seal is?
The seal on the side is from our lab.
When you say our lab, which
I'm
lab?
sorry, FDLE in Orlando.
And there's an additional sticker on each of these exhibits that is yellow. What is that?
That is also their labeling system.
From FDL?
From FDLE, yes.
States 55. You recognize 55?
Yes, by the case number and label.
And did you do anything with 55?
Yes, it's processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
When you received that from your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
When you were finished processing it, did you close it?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
States 87. Do you recognize 87?
Yes.
And did you do anything with 87?
I did not.
And do you recognize the other seals on there?
The other seals is from FDLE in Orlando.
And 87 is what?
80, this is a projectile.
88. Did you do anything with 88?
I did not.
And you recognize the other seals on there?
Yes, as being from FDLE.
And the top seal is from who?
That one is Melissa Dodge.
Let's look at 86.
Yes, by the case number and label.
And did you do anything with 86?
It was processed for latent prints?
By yourself?
Yes.
When you received that item from your evidence locker, were the seals intact?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it when you were done?
Yes.
And is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
50 or 85? You recognize 85?
Yes.
How is it you recognize that?
The case number and our label.
And did you do anything with 85?
Yes, it was processed for latent prints?
Were you successful?
No.
When you received that item out of evidence, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you seal it back up when you were done processing?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And what is that item?
That is a casing.
82? You recognize that?
Yes, by the case number and sticker.
And did you do anything with 82?
Yes, that was processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
When you received that item out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
When you were done, did you seal it?
Yes.
Is your seal still intact?
Yes, it is.
And what is that item?
Spent casing.
83? You recognize that?
Yes, department issued case number and our label.
And did you do anything with that one?
Yes, it was processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
And when you received that item out of your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
When you were done processing it, did you seal it back up?
Yes.
And is your seal still intact?
Yes.
Now, to be clear, when you sealed it back up, you put the item back in it that you took out and tested,
Yes.
correct? And did you do each one of these one at a time?
Not one at a time, no.
But you kept them separate? and
Yes.
appropriate? What did I put in front of you? I'm sorry.
Ooh. Jeez.
$84?
Yes.
Do you recognize 84?
Yes, by the case number and the label.
And did you do anything with 84?
Yes, it was processed for latent prints.
And were you successful?
No.
And when you were done with states 84, well, when you checked 84 out, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
And did you open it?
Yes.
And when you were done, did you put it back in the bag and seal it?
Yes.
And is your seal intact?
Yes, it is.
And states 93. You recognize 93.
Yes.
And how do you recognize it?
Department case number and our labeling.
And did you process that one?
Yes,
And for what?
for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
And when you received that item from your evidence locker, was it in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you open it?
Yes.
Did you put the same exact exhibit back in that bag?
Yes.
And did you seal it?
Yes.
Is your seal intact?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to show you some items now up here on the screen. And if you can't see them, just tell me and I'll bring them to you. This is States 32. You recognize what's depicted in States 32.
Yes.
What are we looking at?
This is the front of the Mercury, the vehicle that was under the carport in 19.
That's this vehicle here?
Yes.
And this is the front driver's side?
Yes.
And there appears to be a photo marker in there.
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
And what photo marker is that?
That is number 3, I believe, and that is a spent casing.
Showing you States 33. Can you see that?
Yes.
And what are we looking at there?
That is a spent casing in the windshield wiper area.
I'm going to show you States 142. Can you tell the members of the jury, states 142, how we know that that exhibit equates to this?
This is my own packaging with our case number, date, my ID, and my item number. The item number on this is CH3, and the 3 corresponds to the evidence marker on scene.
Okay. And do you also put on the packaging where you located the item?
Yes.
And what did you put on the packaging?
It is spent casing from windshield wiper area of black mercury with Florida tag.
And that's what photograph 133 shows?
Yes.
Can you, using the laser pointer, can you point out the spent casing?
Right there.
And that's what's in that bag?
Yes.
After you collected it, you have 2 seals on that bag, right?
I personally have 2 seals, yes.
And what did you do with that you opened it again?
This was processed for latent prints.
Were you successful?
No.
And then did you seal it back up?
Yes.
And your seals, all your seals, do they remain intact?
Yes, they are.
All right. Did somebody else, is there another seal on there?
There is another seal.
And what seal is that?
That is from FDLE.
And there's the sticker that we were talking about before?
Yes.
The yellow one? Okay. State's evidence 135. Recognize what we're looking at there?
Yes, that is the interior of the vehicle under the carport.
And this is the driver's side?
Yes.
Looking into the back seat? Is there a photo marker there, please?
Yes, item number, the photo marker number 5.
Okay. What are we looking at in 134?
That is a spent casing.
And that correlates with photo marker 5?
Yes.
I'm going to show you state's evidence 146. Recognize 146?
Yes.
And what is 146?
This is item CH5 that corresponds with number 5 evidence marker in the photo.
And so that's that shell casing that we're looking at.
Yes.
State's evidence 138. Recognize 138?
Yes.
What are we looking at in 138?
This is the interior driver area of the vehicle in the carport.
And there's a couple different, or several different, actually 3, I think. It's hard to see. Photo marker here, there, and there.
Yes. Those 3 evidence markers are for the casings.
Work with S. 140. You see that?
Yes.
What are we looking at there?
There are 5 spent casings on the driver's seat.
And 144. You recognize 144?
Yes.
And how do you recognize, well, it's in evidence. What is 144?
144, this is CHS, which is 5 spent casings from the driver's seat of the vehicle in the carport.
So what's contained in 144 are those 5 shell casings that we see there on the states? 140.
Yes.
And the multiple seals on that package as well?
Yes.
2 are yours, and who's the other one?
The other one is from FDLE.
And did you process that item for latent prints?
Yes.
Were you successful?
No.
Did you seal it back up, putting those items back in?
Yes.
And are your seals still intact?
Yes, they are.
Do me a favor, you have the, I have the signature, I did. Go back to 142. Go ahead and open 142. 142, is that what you recall collecting and putting in that bag?
Yes, it is.
And 142 is the photo marker 3, is that right?
Yes.
And then the next one over next to you, which
146?
that photo marker 5.
Yes.
Could you open that and tell me if what you see in there is what you collected?
Yes, it is.
And that is photo marker 5, the shell casing from the rear seat or the back seat floorboard.
The rear driver's side floorboard, yes.
And then the next exhibit is your photo marker. That's right.
Yes.
Could you open that, please? Do you recognize the item in there?
Yes.
And that's the shell casing you put in there?
Yes.
And that correlate, or the 5 of them, right?
5 of them, yes.
Correlates with photo marker S.
Yes.
The evidence is 143. Recognize that one?
Yes.
And are your seals intact?
Yes, they are.
Is there an additional seal on there?
There is.
And whose seal is that?
FDLE?
Okay, go ahead and open that. And you recognize the item contained in there?
Yes.
And does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as it was after you processed it?
Yes.
And what is it?
Spin casing.
And it correlates with which photo marker?
Marker number 4.
And that's where, located where?
It's on the emergency brake of the vehicle.
Do you identify with the laser pointer where you suggest? Right on the edge of the photo marker.
Yes.
Did you process that item for latent prints?
Yes.
Were you successful?
No.
You sealed it back up?
Yes.
And other than where you just cut it today, were your seals intact?
Yes.
Evidence 145. You opened that one. Well, you recognize it, right?
Yes.
You packaged that?
Yes, I did.
Just like the other exhibits we just talked about, you packaged those?
Yes.
Go ahead and open it. What are we looking at in that package?
It is a spent casing.
And where did you locate that casing at?
The driver floorboard.
And that's represented by photo marker.
T.
And you collected that?
Yes.
And is it in the, other than the seal you just cut, it was in a sealed condition?
Yes.
Did you process it?
Yes, I did.
There's an additional seal on there, is there not?
Yes, there is.
Whose seal is that?
That's FDLE.
Other than that, does it appear to be opened in any other way?
No.
And photo marker T was what? I'm sorry?
I'm sorry?
What was photo marker T?
Photo marker T is a spent casing.
And State's Evidence 141. What are we looking at there?
That is the driver's seat of the vehicle.
The window in the Mercury, when you arrived on scene, was it up or down?
The window for the driver's door was down.
I have no further questions at this time. Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Counsel? Good afternoon still. Technician Hill, is that okay?
That's
Are you-
fine.
Okay. You said that you arrived to the scene at 1:47 in the morning, is that right?
On the 3rd, yes.
On the 3rd?
Yes,
You were not present while they were securing the scene. It was secured by the time you got there?
correct.
I wanted to start with, you described that you collected some of Gary Hembry's personal effects and processed those into evidence. Is that right?
Yes,
One of those items you labeled as miscellaneous items. I believe that was CH20. Do you recall that?
yes,
Okay. That, in fact, was a number of different items, hence miscellaneous items,
yes,
to include a flashlight and 2 lighters. Is that right?
those are 3 of the items, yes, that were in those
Right.
pockets.
I'm sorry. The rest of them being a cell phone and a pack of cigarettes.
Yes,
And all of those items were located in Gary Hembry's left front pocket. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. Now, I wanted to talk with you about the shells, and I won't bring you back through each baggie, but you processed 27 shells, is that right?
yes,
Found no latent prints on any of them.
correct.
And when you were testifying earlier, just to be clear, your training is in developing the prints. Is that right? Meaning lifting them from items?
I have been trained in developing, lifting, and doing some analyzing as well.
Some comparison?
Yes,
But you're not prepared to testify to any comparison today,
No.
is that right? Just merely stating that you tried to develop the prints?
correct.
Okay. And again, in summary form, so we don't have to go through every bag, there were no latent prints developed from any of the shell casings.
Correct.
And all of the shell casings, I know the state kind of covered this later in your testimony, but all of the shell casings at some point were sent to FDLE for further testing.
Yes,
And that's why there's an FDLE break in the bag,
correct.
and their seal and item number.
Yes,
I did want to talk to you about the shell casings themselves, though. You actually took the time to document the head stamps on the shell casings.
yes,
And there were actually a variety of different head stamps on the 27 shell casings. Is that right?
yes, there are.
Some were Win 9mm Luger head stamps.
If that's what it says in the report, yes.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your report?
Yes, please.
Okay. May I approach the witness?
You may.
You just look up when your recollection's been refreshed.
Yes, there's several different 9mm casings.
Okay. Could you just list off those different head stamps for the jury, please?
Win 9mm Luger, 9mm Luger CBC, FC 9mm Luger, Spear 9mm Luger, RP 9mm Luger.
Okay. Thank you. Was there also a blazer on there as well?
In a paragraph down below, yes, there is a Blazer 9mm Luger.
Okay. Thank you. May I approach the witness?
You may.
The head stamps, of course, designate the manufacturer of that particular ammunition. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. So those would be a variety of different manufacturers that you recovered shell casings.
yes,
Now, you mentioned that when you were developing latent prints that you did not do them one at a time. Is that right, the shell casings?
correct.
How many did you open at one time?
There were 27 open at once.
Okay, so you took all 27 out of their packaging.
They were out of their packaging one by one, and then, yes, kept out of their packaging. At the
Okay, so you did and you didn't do them all at the same time. You cut them all open to begin with.
I started with one, photographed the exterior packaging, and then cut the bag to open it to take photographs. And then once those photographs were done, I moved on to the next one.
Okay. But when you're developing the prints, is it take one shell out of the bag, try to develop a print, put the shell back in the bag, or do you have like a workspace that you line the shells up?
There's a workspace where they were lined up.
Okay, so at that point, they're all out of their individual bags.
Yes.
The last thing I wanted to talk with you about are some things that you swabbed. You swabbed a number of bloodstains on the scene, is that right?
Yes.
And those would be designated with your initials.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the clerk?
May?
Can you see states 121?
Yes.
Okay, so the stains that you swabbed then would be stain W, which is depicted at the bottom of states 121.
Yes.
Stains Y, which is on the left side of 121.
Yes.
And stain Z, which is in the top portion of 121.
Yes.
Okay. Turn to the second page of 121, since it's a composite exhibit, and for the record, we were previously on page 1. This depicts stain Y and stain X, correct?
Yes.
Those are two additional blood stains that you swabbed at the scene, is that right?
Yes.
And you collected 2 swabs from each of these stains
Yes.
for further testing.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, returning to 121, page 1. Stain Z is where Mr. Blake was, is that correct?
I cannot attest to that.
You don't know any of the names of any of the people that were present on scene? Or
I know the names of the people who were present on scene when I was there. There was one victim on scene.
okay, Mr. Hembry.
Correct.
Okay. Turning to page 2 then. Stain X then would be associated with Mr. Hembry, is that right?
In that it's near him, yes.
Okay. And then stain Y, not near him.
I can attest to that.
Okay. Thank you. The last thing I had, the Cougar, the black car that was in the state's exhibits, the windows were down on that vehicle, is that correct?
The driver window was down.
Okay, the driver window was down.
I don't remember if the passenger was.
Okay, thank you. Moment to confer with co-counsel, Your Honor.
You may.
I'm showing you what states 98. The car that's depicted in states 98, that's the Cougar that we've been speaking about. Is that right?
The one in the carport, yes.
Yes, the one in the carport, I'm sorry, with all of the labels on it.
Yes.
And on this diagram, the goldish brown labels, those designate shell casings. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And the markings on that black Cougar are the shell casings that you've already testified to recovering and processing. Is that right? Those being 3, 4, 5, S, and T.
Yes.
And S is actually 5 separate casings. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be a total of 9 shell casings inside the Cougar.
And on top of the cougar.
And the, I'm sorry, the one on the windshield, number
Yes.
3. The gray designation, those are fragments or bullet fragments. Is that right?
Projectiles, yes.
Projectiles.
Yes.
There were no projectiles recovered from inside the cougar. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any redirect? Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You are subject to recall. Thank you. And can you do me a favor and hand me those? Thank you very much. You're welcome. Yes, the attorneys may approach. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take our recess for the weekend. And first, I'll ask that you leave your notebooks on your chairs. I'll ask that you return on Monday at 8:50 a.m., 850. And let me give you your recess instruction. We're going to break until 8:50 on Monday morning. During this break, you must continue to abide by the rules governing your service as a juror. Specifically, you're not to discuss this case among yourselves. This means no discussions about the case whatsoever, no matter where you are, including the deliberation room. Do not discuss this case with anyone else or allow anyone to discuss it in your presence. Do not speak to the attorneys, parties, or witnesses about anything. Do not conduct any research regarding any matters concerning this case. You also must avoid reading any newspaper headlines and articles relating to this trial or its participants, and you are to avoid seeing or hearing any television, radio, or internet or social media comments about this trial. With those instructions, you all have a very nice weekend. Thank you. You may be excused.